Hello everyone, welcome to today's tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to create this dynamic calendar template. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. I'm going to show you how to create this from start to finish. All right, so first things first, what do I mean by a dynamic calendar template? What this means is that I can select whatever year I want, whatever month I want, and whatever day I want, and the calendar updates automatically. This means that you can use this in perpetuity. Some people like to start their week on Monday, some people like to start their week on Sunday, and it adapts to whatever preferences you have. Today is August 1st, and here you can see the calendar actually works exactly how it's supposed to. Now, this is a very basic calendar. You can actually use it the way it is, but I'll show you how to take it to the next level. Now I'll show you some of my designs that I have created using the same idea. This is a planning calendar with progress bars that show you your progress as you add tasks. Let's add task 1, task 2, and as you check off the task, the progress bar fills out and you can use it for whatever month and whatever day you want. This is available for sale in my digital shop if you're interested in purchasing it. But if you don't want to purchase it, you can follow along with the tutorial and at least get you started with the process of how to create a dynamic calendar. Another use case, this is a monthly bill tracker. We have the same tabs that we use to adjust the calendar. You can change the year here, the month, etc., just like we've done before. And in this calendar, what I have added is a transaction area. So this means that you can add all of your bills and check them off as you pay the bills and you're adding the amount and the due date, etc. When you input all of the information here, it reflects in the calendar. You can change the colors to mark it as paid or unpaid. So this is another use case, taking the same concept of a dynamic calendar and another example of how you would use it. This time blocking calendar, I am currently working on it. We have the same concept here where we're selecting the year, the month, and the week. In addition to that, we can actually select the time because if you're time blocking, you need to be able to figure out what activity you're doing from 7 to 8, from 8 to 9, for example. Here we have the area where we're making the selection and a monthly calendar, which is connected to this calendar. This is a work in progress. It's not yet done, but my point is when you can create this dynamic calendar, you can create so many things out of it, aside from using it as a calendar that you print out and write in your to-do list or whatnot. All right, so let's jump in and get started with the tutorial. Alrighty, so I have my template in full screen so it's easier for you to see. And I have two tabs that I've used to create this dynamic calendar. I have the calendar tab or the sheet, and I have another sheet which I've named backend. And this is what you're going to use to create the engine of your calendar. So I have a blank sheet and I've called it demo 1. I'm going to use this to create the monthly view, and demo 2 I'll use to create the backend. The first thing I like to do is clean out this sheet. You have rows all the way down to 1,000 at least, columns all the way down to Z. I'm not going to need all of the rows and columns. I know I need all the way to K and all the way down to 40. So I'll just clean this up, highlight all the rows, right click, delete. And then I know I need at least up to 40. So I'll go to 42. And because I have rows that span up to 1,000, I'll hit Shift Command. These are the shortcut keys for Mac. For Windows, it might be Control, but I'm not sure. But for Mac, you hit Shift Command and use the arrow key to tab all the way to the end, and it highlights everything. So I'm going to hit Delete. I'll resize these 3 columns, make them a little bit smaller, and I'll make these bigger because they are going to be part of the calendar template. All right, so to resize them all at once, select all you're interested in resizing. The reason why I like to do this is because it makes sure they're all the same size, so you don't have to individually change the sizes to match. And then I'll do the same for the rows. Another way to resize is to, of course, highlight all of the rows, right click, click on resize rows. I like to use between 30 and 35 just to make it easier to see and to read. So here would be where we'll create our drop downs. So add like a little sketch around it. And here would be where we would create our calendar. All right, so I have borders around the columns I'm going to be using. I'll stretch this out a little bit just to make it look more like a calendar. And maybe I'll make this a little bit wider as well. All right, so I will stop here and go to the back end and show you what it looks like. This is what creates the dynamic effect. Once you create it, you can hide it and you don't ever need to touch it again as long as everything is working. So to create this, we'll again do the same thing, just prep our page. So again, I'll just quickly prep it and I'll come back and show you. All right, so we have that prepped. And we'll go back here and see that we have to create one column for year, one for month, and one for day. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll highlight this 3. And because we're going to be using this 3 together, how about we resize them together? So we'll type year and day. Okay, so now what I also like to do is to just hit the top left-hand corner and it selects the entire screen. And then I'll go ahead and change the font. And I like it, keep it centered and to keep it aligned to the middle. And here I will go ahead and type 2023, 2024, and select both of them and drag all the way down to 2033. And like I said before, you can use this in perpetuity, so you can add 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It really is up to you. And I'll start here with January. And with this one, all I'm going to do is just type January and drag it down and it automatically fills it up. So I'll drag one more. So we have December. Maybe I'll add one more row here. For the day, I'll add Sunday and Monday. Okay, so this part is done. Just go ahead and create some borders around them. Add a little fill. Okay, now that we have this part done, what we're going to do is reference these columns and use it to create our drop-down tabs in the monthly view, just like we have here. So these are tabs that you can select. Okay, so we need to create this. I'll click on the first one, go to data, data validation, click on add rule. And here we're going to use drop down from range, not drop down, but drop down from range. And we can select data range, and this would allow you to locate wherever your data is and select the range. So in this case, I know it's in demo 2. So I'll go here and only select the years, okay? All the way to 2033, select that. And I'll make a few changes here by clicking on advanced. I like to click on show help and change it to the arrow because I don't like the aesthetic of the chip. And I like to make sure reject the input is selected and click on done. So go back to the demo and see if that actually worked. It did. So do the same for month. Click on that, data, data validation, add rule, drop down from range, click on the little rectangle, go to our backend sheet, click on the months, January through December, click on OK, advanced, change to arrow, show help, and done. And when we go back here, we have our month. And then we'll do the last, which is the days. Again, the same process, data validation, select from range, select the day. All right, now we have our drop downs ready, but they're not connected to anything. So the next step would be to create a formula that will connect this selection to this part of the calendar. Before we do that, I will go ahead and make more changes to the calendar so it looks more like a calendar. I'll use this for the title, so just merge this. And you don't have to type the month here because this also dynamically changes. And I'll use this for the days of the week and add a little color here. And maybe add some borders here as well. All right, so it's looking more and more like a calendar. Now you can change this part to be just one cell, okay? Meaning that you can drag this down and make it look like this and make your calendar look like this, which would work. But I prefer to have my calendar with rows because that gives me more flexibility with the things that I need to do. And if I don't want to see the rows, I could always click on view and hide grid lines and then create the calendar. For example, let's say I want it to be like this, and I could still create the same effect. But to have the calendar with rows gives you a little bit more options. So I will go ahead and select 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So go ahead and select it all the way through. And now I'm just adding borders to the different weeks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One way to make it quicker is to just copy the actual border that you've done the first time and just paste it, because we're looking to create the same thing over and over again. And now we'll do the same for the columns. Just select outer border. Once we have the first one done, you can copy it and just paste it. Okay, so now it's looking more like a calendar. All right, so the next step would be to create the calendar in the backend reference sheet. So this backend sheet, I might also refer to it as reference sheet. Those terms would be used interchangeably in this tutorial. So when I say backend or reference sheet, I'm referring to the same thing. We're first going to create that calendar in the backend sheet. So this is what it looks like. We have this reference calendar, and that's what we're going to use to create the actual calendar. In order to create this, you need a formula. I'm going to be honest with you. I love to create designs and beautiful things, and I enjoy creating Google Sheet templates, but I am not a master of formulas. So how I was able to create this formula was I used ChatGPT. So if you don't know about ChatGPT and you want to know how I use ChatGPT to figure out some of my formulas when I get stuck, let me know and I'll create a separate tutorial on how to do this. I was able to prompt ChatGPT. I told it what I wanted and it created this formula for me, and it actually works really well. If you're following along with this tutorial, I will provide this demo sheet so you can just copy this formula and use it. So you don't have to create everything from scratch. But if you want to actually play around with ChatGPT, it's not a bad idea to just see how it can help you with the formulas that are a little bit more complicated. All right, so I'm just copying that formula straight out from the sheet that I already created, and I'm going to paste it here. All right, so I've zoomed in so you can see the formula a little bit clearer. So now we have the formula here. You can see that we have F2, F3, and F4. And it's not working because it's looking for information in F2, F3, and F4, and there's nothing here. So we need to make sure we reference the correct cells. So go back to our demo calendar, and our cells are in B3, 4, and 5. I'm just going to shift them up so it matches B2, B3, B4. We can change this afterward. So now we know it's B2, B3, B4 instead of F. If you really wanted to, you can change the F, but that's not necessary. Just know the cells and the name of the sheet, and you can recreate the formula. So go back to the formula, and I'll change F2 to the sheet name and then the cell location. So to do this, we'll do open quotation, and that is demo 1, close quotation, and B3. Okay. And then we'll do the same. I'm actually going to copy this, just to make it easier, because I'm going to be using it over and over again. And instead of F3, we're going to do B3. Okay. And then I'm going to go over here to F2 and do B2 and F3 and click on that and do 3. And then the last one, we have F4, do B4. All right, so it's not working. That must mean I made a mistake somewhere. So I'm going to go over to my original formula and just double check to make sure I have the numbers correct. So I have F2, F3. So that's where I made the mistake. So here, instead of B3, it's supposed to be B2. There we go. Okay, so just make sure you have the numbers correct and it should work. And then we'll move over here, and this doesn't look like a calendar. First, I'll just change the fonts. Make sure it looks the same, all of them. All right, so this doesn't look like a calendar, and it's because we need to change the format. So click on all of them, go to formats, go to number, go all the way down until you see custom date and time. And then we're going to change it to what looks like a number. So there are many options here. Scroll all the way down until you see what looks like a month and a day, for example. Click on that, click on apply. So as you can see, we have dates. So we'll go back and see if it's working. So go back to demo and I'll go back to the current month, August 2023. And as we go here, it's actually working. We can see August 1st, August 2nd, August 3rd, etc. So that is what we need to do to set up the engine. All right, so now we need the right month to show up here in our calendar when we select the month here. This is going to require another formula. So I'll go back here and I'll copy the formula from here. This is a date formula. What it's doing is it's referencing the month and the year and it's creating a date from that. So I'll copy that and I'll go back to my demo and I will paste that formula here. So I'll just right click and paste so I don't have to redo the formatting and just do values only. All right, so once I paste that, you can see it works and I don't have to change anything here because the reference cells are the same. So if I double click and open up the formula, you can see that it's referencing B3, which has the year, B4, which has the month. And those are the two things we need to create that date. So every time we change this, okay, we change it to 2024, change it to a different month, it dynamically updates. But right now it has a date, which is not very useful for the aesthetic part of the calendar. So go to Format, Number, go to Custom Date and Time. And now we're looking for something that just says month. If you don't have that, that's fine. Pick the closest to what you're looking for. So August and a day, and just delete the one you don't need. So now it just says August. You could further customize it by clicking on the arrow. And if you want the full name of the month or abbreviation or just the first letter, you can change it. So here we want the full month because that's the title of the calendar. And as you can see, it's April. So we'll change that, make it bigger, and we have April. And if I wanted this to be April 2023, for example, I'll go back to Format and change that to April 2023. So again, I'm just looking for, okay, we'll pick this one and just delete that comma and apply. So now we have April 2024. And if I change it to 2023, we have April 2023. If I change it to our current month, August 2023. So that part works. The important thing is that you need to make sure that this part is connected to this selection and this part's connected to this selection. So now that we've done the top part, we need to create the names of the days up here and then the actual days. All right, so we need to start with F3. So we go back to our demo and now we're going to reference that cell. Okay, so we're going to go equals and then go back to demo so we don't have to type the name of the sheet and click on that cell and click on enter. And as you can see, we have 731 here. Now we can go ahead and keep referencing the next cell, or we can just drag it, make it a little bit smaller so it's easier to drag. And as you can see, we have 731, 82, 83, all the way through. Okay, and again, this is looking like it's actually working. So if I change it to April, for example, the dates here change. August, the dates change. Now, we don't want it to look like this because we want it to say Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We don't want it to be dates. So we'll do the same thing. We go back to Formats and then to Custom Date and Time. And again, just click on what looks like what you want. It might not be exactly what you want, but it's fine because you can delete things. So now this has a whole bunch of things I don't need. I just wanted to say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I wanted to say day of the week. So I'll just delete all the stuff that I don't need, delete the year, delete the month, and delete the extra commas. And then if you want it to be the full day, so like Monday is spelled out or an abbreviation, you can change it here as well. I'll leave it as the full day. And here I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Now let's check out the dynamic part of it. And I will just go ahead and zoom in. So let's see. Let's see what happens if I change it to Sunday. It changes to Sunday. Change it back to Monday. It changes to Monday. Change it to September and change it to Sunday start. It changes. Everything is working so far. The final step would be to add the date. So we have what looks like a calendar. So we're doing the same thing. We're referencing the date in that reference sheet. You can actually copy it from here, but I'll show you how to do it directly from the reference sheet. We're doing the same thing. 827, scroll all the way down. So I'm just dragging it all the way down. Okay. And then we have the date. We have the correct date. We go back to August and we can see that today, August the 1st is Tuesday. The calendar is working. So how do we get the rest? We do the exact same thing. We go to equals, go back to the demo, select the next row, hit enter. We have 86. So 85, 86 is the next one. Just drag it all the way. Repeat the steps until you've gone through all of the rows that make up your calendar. And this might seem tedious, but you only need to do this once. You have this calendar that is dynamic. It's set up to be used for months and years. And then you can use it to create other things. So even though this might seem like it is tedious, which to me it really isn't that tedious, but if you do it once, it's done. Okay, so we have one more to go. Equals 827, hit enter. Make sure all of the dates are filled in. All right, now we have the entire month filled in. We have an extra week here we don't need, and this is September, so we're not going to copy that row. Go back to our demo. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can see the entire calendar. It's looking really good. So I'm going to highlight all of the cells, okay, because I want it to be to the right-hand side and the top. Okay, so to the right and top. Actually, we can make it the middle. Doesn't really matter because it's only going to be in this row. All right, now we have the dates, but we want it to look like a day in a calendar. So we do the same thing. Go to Format, go to Number, Custom Date and Time. I'll click on August 5th. Click on this one, delete the month, remove any space or commas. It's just the day, okay? And you can change it to the name, the day, with a zero, without a zero. Again, you really can change it to whatever you want. I'll do it without deleting zero. Click and apply. And there it is. There's the calendar. And let's test it out to make sure everything works. So we'll change it to September. And September changes, and you can see the dates change dynamically. Change it to Monday starts, it changes to Monday, and this is a Monday. Change it to 2024, it changes to 2025, it changes to whatever. I mean, it goes on and on. So let's go back to see, make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, so here is my original calendar, and yep, we've recreated it right here. And then you can play around with the formatting, right? Alrighty, so let's zoom out. And this is what it looks like. If you want to change other things, you can change the colors. You can use conditional formatting to make something stand out. So if you wanted the weekends to be grayed out, for example, you can create that effect with conditional formatting. That's where I'm going to end this tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope it was useful. If you're able to create your own dynamic calendar, let me know. Remember, it's going to be used as a backbone to create other fun templates. So let me know if you're able to create yours. And if you have any questions about the formulas that I use, remember, I'll leave a link that would lead you to how you get this template. So if you're interested in the formulas and this specific backbone, barebone templates, check out the description box and it will be there. If you're interested in purchasing any of these templates, it is available in my digital shop. If you have any more questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.